Can you smell the rain? I can smell the rain. I can smell.
Hey everyone, Jeremy Frank here, aka Jersus. Today I'm going to be discussing my process of what I've been through the beginning to the end of the Jersus legacy. Starting off with my first single, Lit Design, which I started out writing way before everything else, and then gonna go into details about my newest EP, Bonsai Tree. I'm gonna give you inside scoop on where I've been throughout all the trial and error of recording and releasing the music. So stay tuned.
Nothing better to handle, nothing better to handle. Nothing better.
So Lit Design was basically the beginning of Jersus and the legacy. I wanted to write a track that I felt would invoke the spirit that comes from me and would be put in a position that I could freely express myself. So Lit Design was basically just an experiment to get things going. And I started experimenting when I went to school in San Francisco at Pure Mind. And the teachers were teaching me all sorts of things like theory and stuff, but I just kind of, from what I knew already, I just experimented with what I had. I think it was my first time using Serum and trying to write like dubstep music, and I really liked how it came out. I remember it just being a very horrific process and a lot of changes and just parts that jump out at you when you hear it. And even Lit Design, there's lyrics, and I use things like stereo mono metaphors because I was learning about production and like what was stereo and what was mono, so I included that in the song. And I just wanted to make something beautiful, but also like powerful and energetic. At the time, I didn't really know what I was doing, so it was just my start. And I ended up releasing the song, but I took it down because I didn't want that to be like what represented Jersus, which involves the albums that I'm going to discuss soon enough, so stay tuned. So my first EP, Masiah, was basically a whole new level of seriousness that I took to this foundation that I created. I sunk a lot of money into the project, and it was, I went to Pure Mind and I got to play around in recording studios and stuff, but I wrote all the music with just my laptop and an Ableton Push 2, and when I finished writing the tracks, I hit up Whitewater Productions in Manhattan, and I met a guy named John White, and funny story is, we found out later, lived right next door to my mom's house in Brooklyn right before we moved to Woodstock. So it was just a coincidence, and he really helped me polish the tracks and make them what they are today, with tracks like Masiah, which I really got inspiration from an artist named Machine Drum to write that track. I'm not gonna tell you which track I got the inspiration from, because it's kind of a nasty name. Nasty's in the title. But I wanted to write like a jungle track, so that's how Masiah was born, the main track, the first track. Nonstop was a experiment with modular synthesis and Ableton patches, and I barely remember writing it. And E, I dedicated to my brother, who I used to be in a band with called Burrs, where I played drums. Not a lot of people know this, but drums is my main instrument. But E was a lot different sounding from the rest of the tracks. It just has like this crystal awakening mindset to it, and I love how it came out from start to finish. And then you have Altitude. I got that name from the movie Porco Rosso, because it's about flying in airplanes and they take off with altitude. And that was basically a jungle track too. And then there's Masiah Revisited, which also included modular synthesis and just a re-edit of the Masiah track. So there you have it.
I'm on a search for what's real.
So Shurch was my first studio album. I wrote it transitioning, moving from Jersey City to Woodstock, and I was staying in a lot of Airbnbs before we finally moved into our beautiful home, which is called Nest, ESKFF Nest. And just kind of came up with the idea, thinking that, based off the album cover itself, we got a upside down church with some filters. Makes the trees kind of look purple and cool and stuff, but basically I believe we are our own God, and basically what I felt, the process of writing it, I had to really go deep within myself and find what was truly authentic. So that's how Shurch came about, just this idea that we're our own God. We aren't being controlled by a higher power. We are in control. So I felt like this album, I really had that control, and I was able to control myself to get it done, and it came out the way it came out, and I'm really proud of it. All the songs on the album end in Urch, Search, Merch, Verch, Quirch, Kirch, Hota Urch, Marimba Urch, Instrumenta Urch, Reggae Urch, Orchestra Urch, Impossible Urch, and Dig. Dig was my first collaboration with my good friend Eric, aka The Sounds of James, aka Secretum. He also writes really good music himself. Really proud of what we've been doing this year. Yeah, Dig was a song I worked on at Pure Mind, and I brought it back for this album, and I got Eric to add some cool sound effects to it. But besides that, I feel like the main title track, Shurch, is just, it's like a continuation of the powerhouse I built within myself. And the tracks that come after it, some of them are energetic, some of them are chill, some of them take you to that place of happiness in your head and create thoughts of pure imagination and delight. So yeah, that's what I have to say about Shurch. So Summer in the Winter was a project that I got serious about when we first got settled into our new home. I was dealing with a lot of issues during the process. I was in the hospital and a lot was going on, and I just got put in a position where I couldn't focus. So I got on a medication that helped me focus again and stop lashing out, which I'd done in the past. And it's just really, I love how the songs came together. I'm really influenced by artists like Pretty Lights and Tipper and Grammatic, and a lot of artists in the underground scene that I've also admired that have led to this project becoming a full-scale sound design field of imagination. I really love how Snooze You Lose came out, Miracle in the Middle-Aged Freak, the title track, Summer in the Winter. I like Yogurt because I play guitar on it, and I really like Free/Combo. It's like two songs in one. It's like a dance track, and it kind of transitions into like this tribal sort of dance track. Makes you feel like you're a part of a tribe when you hear it. What I like about it most is I'm really trying to imitate my heroes, and I really want to pay tribute to my heroes. And one of my biggest heroes that I actually dedicated the album to was Sylvan Wirtz, who passed away not too long ago. And he even heard it, and I guarantee you his opinions on it are different from a lot of other people's opinions. But he was proud of me for it. And I'm proud too, because it was a project that once again I had full control over, and it was mine to manage. And I just love beefy kick drums and synthesizers and growls and all that good stuff. So the EP The Forest is a project that I also dedicated to the late and great Sylvan Wirtz, who passed away not too long ago. And Sylvan, I remember, put me on to some of the greatest rock and roll classics that I've ever heard, including Indigada Vida by Aaron Butterfly and many other greats. But besides that, The Forest, the main title track, means Sylvan in the definition. The forest is Sylvan. The forest means Sylvan. And I wanted to call it The Forest to dedicate it fully to the man who loved me unconditionally ever since I was a kid. So, and it was also, I got a lot of help. I felt inspiration writing it from a teacher from Texas named Gaddy, who taught me a lot of tricks. Some I don't remember, some I do. But I tried out just like using chord generators or MIDI chords, like just chords that you could copy and paste onto your Ableton timeline. And I played around with that. And I just wanted these tracks to be really melodic and simple and have flair to it. sort of movement and feel that you could vibe to. And I love tracks like Blueberry. Can't even remember my own song names. Blueberry Crumble Pie, Tibetan Tiger. What was the last track? Red Sox, yeah, which I dedicated to the Red Sox baseball team, even though I'm a diehard Yankees fan. But I just love how it came out, and it's a project that will be celebrated and enjoyed by many people for years to come. Man, fall in the spring. I don't even know where to begin with this one. It was a long journey. Started off with Pizza Party Ship, which was like a track where I basically wanted to be a pirate. Kind of like that guy in that movie Dodgeball, where he's a pirate. Arg scurvies, arg. Or hoy, walk the plank. Yeah. Treasure, plunder, booty, you know? So basically, like, started out with that, and it was a big hit at Burning Man when I played it there. Got one dude named Adam dancing his ass off. And I just took it from there. I wrote a track called Orange, which I used my trusty Moog Mother 32 modular synthesizer to create the dirty synth sounds and wobs and all that stuff. And then there was The Smell of Rain, which I had a special guest, my good friend Dano the Mano, I love him to death. He's like the nicest guy in the universe, so we got him on that track. And there's Get a Job, and it reminds myself to get a job, besides pursuing this musical ambition of mine. But I wrote it for a crazy reason, just to have a driven vibe and to really punch through and just make you make all these nasty looks when you hear it, you know, just like And then you got Fall in the Spring, which I got my mom to play flute on the track. Came out pretty magical. I would say the process was kind of like Summer in the Winter. I wanted to make a follow-up to that album and kind of have it be in the same style, but just like completely new set of songs. And I got my boy MF Oblivion to make a special video, which you can find on my YouTube channel, some Fall in the Spring visualizer video. I just love how it came out. It was phenomenal to work on. I love experimenting with Ableton Live and compiling all these samples and sounds together to create something unique. And I would say like a track like Get a Job, I mean, those were the tracks I was waiting for the most. Get a Job and Fall in the Spring. You know, I gave you Pizza Party and Orange. Then I made everyone wait for The Smell of Rain, Get a Job, and Fall in the Spring. Even Fall in the Spring, it has these moments where the kick drum repeats itself in this vigorous way, and then the flute just comes in. There's this like Eminem sounding piano at the end that I added as an extra layer, you know, a lead, which I learned is important when you make electronic music, to have your leads blend in well with your beat. So that's what I have to say about Fall in the Spring.
Oh!
So Search 2 was really my drive to say that I'm on a search for what's real. I got the inspiration from my first album, Search, and I just wanted a track where I can emulate some of the artists from today. I kind of got the idea for the song from this song called "Skid It" by Lil Pump or Peep, or it's Lil Pump. And I like this new form of music. I mean, this song specifically stood out to me, so I kind of wanted to. I mean, I don't try to copy songs directly. Whenever I hear a song I like, I'll take little pieces and try to make something completely new and original. So I feel like that's what Search 2 basically did. It's just another original side of me, and I really wanted to invoke the spirit and scream and yell and make all these horrific noises to really tie you up and have you be in a state of flow and creativity that your mind goes through when you listen to a song. It's just like, oh, what could I do differently to it? Like when you hear a song you like, you go out of your way to create something new with the inspiration that the song drove you to do. And I like paying tribute to people like Peter Blum and Owen R. Powell, who are people in my life that I admire. I mean, I love going in Peter's sweat lodges and sitting and hearing them sing their songs like "Witanae oh ya, Witanae oh," and "Oh hey na hey nay oh way," and it's just like when he's burning that sage and that cedar, and we're smoking cloves and whatever else they put in that big pipe, this Indian pipe. They're burning that sage and cedar on the rocks, and then they close the door and they pour this water all over these hot rocks, and then you can breathe in all this steam or whatever. It's like steam rocks, and I wanted to include that in this track because I've never done anything like a sweat lodge before, and I just wanted to pay tribute to Peter. And when I say combat vet Mr. Powell paragliding through the skies like an owl, that story came about because I remember Owen drove me to a paragliding facility, and I had the option to learn how to paraglide, and I didn't do it. If I can go back in time and do it, I would, but I guarantee you paragliding looks very sketchy and dangerous. So. Yeah, and Kung Fu Grip put on a towel. She act like a wolf. She liked to howl, and then I do my howls. Oh, and it's like I feel like Jersus takes on many forms, so it's like I'm a pirate, I'm a wolf, I'm a spaceman, I'm a cowboy, I can be whatever I want. So that's what I have to say about Search 2. God bless. So grass. Grass is the ultimate dedication to my favorite plant, cannabis, for it heals me. As a musician, I'm very lonely, and I do have friends and admirers, but I try to mostly keep it to myself to maintain order and just get things done. And it's the only way to do it sometimes, so I use cannabis to heal and help me feel driven and fully prepared for what I do. Even though sometimes it doesn't help, I wouldn't recommend it for use for inspiration to work on music, but it can open those doors to possibilities beyond our capability. I like grass. Had a different idea. I've been told by people that had a different idea is really good. Milkshakes, beautiful lights, beautiful lights. Hard cider, which you just heard, which is probably my favorite track. And then so I released Grass on January 5th, right after the ball dropped. And then I released Grass Deluxe on 420, which include the original tracks plus a remix by my good friend Eric and a remix by my good friend Reese, aka MF Oblivion. You can check out Secretum and MF Oblivion on digital platforms. And I like how those remixes came out. It's like a good representation of what Grass represents. And I love people's interpretations and ways they can do things. And I just love how Secretum and MF Oblivion took Grass and made it their own, but with samples that I provided them to make it stand out compared to the original track Grass, which honestly, when I wrote Grass, I wrote it so fast that I couldn't even handle how perfect, or maybe not all that perfect, but to me perfectly it came out. And it was like destiny that this project reached the shelves, and I hope it inspires you to write more beautiful, wonderful, wondiferous, far beyond the galaxy music. It's like we're going on a spaceship towards the universe, the stars. We just gotta remind ourselves to stay put and get our work done.
And I feel so good. 28 and I'm misunderstood. 28 and I don't know where to go. 28, oh how I want you so.
So 28 was the first ever rock song I wrote as Jersus. I wrote it for my 28th birthday because I just turned 28. And I kind of got the inspiration from my dad. He always told me that I should add guitar and elements of rock into my music. And this was a track that I felt came together really smoothly and also driven. I just love guitar and amplifying it and distorting it and experimenting with all the different ways a guitar works when you plug it in and just play. And I love how I just took this idea of like a 4-piece band, including my mom on the flute, of course, she's on the track. I just I wanted just, guitar, bass, drums, vocals. We just added the flute because it fit, kind of gave it like a Jethro Tull vibe. And the lyrics, they speak to me too. Like, I never found love, but I'll reclaim it back someday. It seems so far away, but what you don't know won't kill you. It seems to be that way to you. Feeling right, feeling wrong. It's just like we feel right sometimes, we feel wrong sometimes. We don't really know the answers. Sometimes we know the answers. But it's just about, searching through the music and letting that speak to you sometimes, to let that be your guide. And I felt like with 28, it was kind of something out of my comfort zone. At the same time, I still use the same techniques that I would to write my old songs that are kind of more electronic-y. Yeah, it was like a good experiment to just see what I could do with a guitar in Ableton. And I also took time to record each hit of my drum kit. snare, the kick, the toms, the hi-hats, the cymbals, little ghost notes, and little ticks and talks and clocks and all this neat stuff. And it was just like a full-fledged project. I felt like I had full control over it, and I have another track I wrote called I Don't Care, and I feel like it's finished, and I can't wait to get that out, and that'll be my second original rock track. And it just kind of gives me ideas for like more tracks like that. You know, I could really take Jersus in any direction I choose. It's just it's a matter of time and space, and you know, when I work on something, I'm in the moment with that specific thing, and it's just how it is. You know, I can't work on everything all at once, and I feel that's how all producers and musicians and engineers feel. They gotta focus on that one thing, because it's the importance of just focusing on that one thing and getting that one thing done until you can move on to the next thing. So the Bonsai Tree EP, or single, was really fun to do, and it was a whole new level of production for me compared to my older tracks, which I felt like there was a lot of things that I misinterpreted and a lot of things that I didn't know, like tuning my drums and adding proper sidechain and making sure I have send tracks for my effects. And I try not to use too many plugins anymore. I love plugins, but I just like using Ableton stuff. They have really good stuff like a phaser flanger and chorus and hybrid reverb and all this cool stuff. And I mean, I like to use Isotope Ozone 9 to master my tracks after I'm done mixing them down and they're properly set to go. But it was just a whole new way of exploring production, and I felt like I had the ideas coming to me right away, and I just got it done. And I'm so happy that my friend The Sounds of James did a remix. Also goes by the name of Secretum, but he wanted to use his name, The Sounds of James, because he's also returning as The Sounds of James, and he wanted to represent himself as The Sounds of James on this EP. And I also ended up writing a remix for Bonsai Tree, a track that I wrote. I basically remixed my own track I was listening to this album by Lone. I forget the name of it, but I think one of the songs called Triple Helix, or I can't remember the name of the album, but check out Lone, because he writes these like heavenly upbeat beats or like driven rhythms, and for the Bonsai Tree remix I kind of wanted to replicate that sound, and with like these feels of deep house and jungle and just like gets people moving. That was the goal. I wrote, the inspiration came from my friend Owen R. Powell's birthday, and that was also the same time my mom's birthday happened. So I just wanted to write a track that would set the vibe and make people feel comfortable, and I felt like it's the perfect track for those moments. And I'm just super happy and proud it came out, and Bonsai Tree be with you. Currently the gear I'm using, I run Ableton Live 11 on a MacBook Pro. Not sure what model. I use a Push 2. Running on a Scarlett 18i20 interface, which powers my JBL 612 and 712 and my Mackie subwoofer. I use a Moog Mother 32 in a Tip Top Audio Mantis case, 20 HP, I think. And I also have a Maths by Make Noise installed and a Q-Pass by Make Noise. Those are the only modules I have at the moment. Basically, when I'm working, I will use Ableton Push to write my melodies and my keyboard parts and synths and stuff, and sometimes for drums, it's really just like trial and error. I'll just like experiment, you know, taking things out, adding things, and I just love the capabilities of Ableton and how I could basically do anything I want. I even make my DJ mixes with just Ableton now. I will load tracks onto the timeline and I will DJ and add samples, and I use the plugin Stutter Edit to glitch out the music, and I have around 40 mixes that I've done that are on my SoundCloud you can check out. My most recent mix was Chill Out Mix 3, which has no added DJ effects or glitches or anything. So, and it just has a bunch of songs that I really admire and that I feel set the vibe for a specific tone and feel, and doing mixes is just as fun as writing music, and I do it all with Ableton. Plugins I sometimes use Sound Toys, I use Serum, sometimes Native Instruments. I like using Guitar Rig Native Instruments for my guitar. You can hear it on tracks like 28 and I Don't Care. So that's a rundown on my gear. I also use a drum kit, which I recorded my drum samples. You can find my drum kit sample pack on my Bandcamp. Definitely check that out if you're looking for some quality drum kit samples. So I hope this podcast clarifies a little of what Jersus means and gives you an update of kind of the past and present and future of Jersus. And if I had any advice for anybody, I would just say, like, keep your head up. Some days are dull, some days are amazing, some days you just want to stay in bed all day, some days you just don't want to do anything. There's a lot of things that I don't have that I can't hide my time and my energy, like video games and stuff. Like, I would love to play some video games, but I think I chose music. Even sports, like I used to play sports, now it's just all music. Sometimes you just have to kind of pick what you want. Sometimes your dreams can be scary, you know, what you wish for can be daunting. Like, you wanted to do music your whole life, well, you could do music your whole life. You want to be an artist, you could do art your whole life. If you want to help people, you can help people. Help your friends by supporting their music and sharing it, and no matter big or small, just, you know, everybody's trying. There's some people that, you know, there's some music that even pisses me off, you know, like there's things that just piss me off, you know, but I tend to remind myself to be just a part of life and know that there's people that probably get pissed off at me and my music. So I just love how we can uplift each other through the power of music, and even if it may not seem important, it is important that we find our light and our gifts for the passion that we desire to provoke into the spirit of the realms of the universe. Also, one more thing I want to add, I just came out with a remix for my very special friend Sokamoto. I released a remix for Awaken, and it has other artists on the remix album like Vibe Girl and Pachuba and Blitz and Closed Loop. Any others I may have forgotten. I mean, Sakamoto, she has a sick VIP at the end. You can even listen to Sakamoto's album, Venom Tapes. The remix album I got on is called Venom Tapes I, the remixes. You can hear my remix on this remix album now.